Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some dahlias. This is a photo I took in my garden last year. They are so pretty, and I'm really excited to paint this for you tonight. I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight, so you can ask questions live while we're painting. And yeah, let's get started. Welcome. If you're new, we are glad that you stopped by and found our channel today. Do these live painting tutorials. Got several hundred here on YouTube that are free, and I like to do them just live because we can show everything, the good, bad, the ugly. You get to see the whole process. I have not painted this ahead of time, so you get to see the oopsies and how I fix them and all that good stuff. So it's always an adventure. And we chat along the way and talk about non-painted related things too. Mark's here.
Got to keep me
for the comedy relief and, you know, whatever else. Right. So I'm using a 12 by 12 inch gallery profile canvas. This is the Fredrix Blue Label canvas. It's like a smoother textured canvas. I have prepped it with a coat of yellow, India yellow, and white. So kind of 2 parts white to 1 part yellow. And I think I probably could have gone even more on the white side and just a little bit less of the yellow because it came out a little brighter than I wanted it to be, but that's all right. Just wanted to tone the canvas. It just helps us to see kind of the values going on. Yellow is a nice, easy color because it's in both our flower and our greens. So it'll shine through really nicely for our project tonight. Let's go over our brushes really quick. I'm not really sure exactly which ones I'm going to use, but I always kind of try to guess. I'll probably need a large flat for some of the bigger areas in the background, and then I got a, well actually this is the 12 Bright because it's a little shorter. Princeton 6100 series brushes are what I like to use. Well, Princeton brushes in general, and these ones in the red handles are their VelvetTouch line. So got a round and a couple angles in different sizes and a couple rounds in different sizes. So that's basically going to be our brushes of choice, are the rounds and the angle brushes for our flower petals, because these are very kind of pointy flower petals. If I was doing flowers that were more rounded, I might choose a Filbert or a brush that was a little bit more rounded in shape. But I think these will do the job for us. And I'll grab any other ones I need and let you know as we go. All right, let's go over our colors. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow light. That's the India yellow. It's used to be called Indian yellow. So if I call it that, you'll have to excuse me. I probably will. Cadmium red light or pyrrole orange, just a orangey red. Quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, and phthalo green yellow shade. Unbleached titanium, titanium white, gloss glazing liquid. This color is an optional color. It's called Titan Violet Pale, but I grabbed it at the last minute because it was very close to kind of the color I'm seeing in some of the petals, and it'll just be kind of nice to have. It's white plus this color, which is violet oxide, which is kind of a reddish, muddy brown with a little bit of violet in it. So, but it's a pure pigment, so we'll maybe if we have time, we can try to mix that up. And I'll show you how to mix that if you don't have that color too. We'll be mixing all kinds of colors tonight for all the kinds of pinks for this project. All right, so let's go ahead and start by drawing it, because I'm going to go ahead and paint around the petals somewhat with the green, which I don't like to do. Normally, I could have painted the whole background green, but I think that would have made it hard for our really bright pinks and yellows to shine through in our flowers. So with this one, I think I'm going to paint the green kind of around them and then put the brush strokes on top. So we'll see. So I'm just going to do kind of a circle where I want those flowers to go, and that way I'll kind of have an idea of sort of where to place my petals and things. So I think it's kind of like this. If you just kind of look at the outside shape, that helps, and kind of also where it falls on the canvas as far as like if you split it, you look at your reference photo and like smack dab in the middle is kind of that open space between these two petals or these two flowers. There's like a little boxy shape like that. I don't know if you're seeing it, but right there in the middle of that photo. And so these two are kind of touching. So I need to bring this one actually over a little bit more even and bring it up. And then right in here, it kind of dips in and comes up. And then just looking, kind of squint your eyes and kind of just look at it sort of blurry, so you can just kind of get the basic shape of the outline of those petals. And then that way we kind of know where to go to with our petals. And then the other thing to find is the center. So our center is kind of in here, but these petals are facing us that are right here. So they're kind of coming up like this and out. And these ones are kind of long through here. So we're seeing them kind of come out and zigzag in this area. I'm really going to kind of wing it as I'm painting this. I'm not going to worry too much about each individual petal. If you want to, if it drives you crazy and you want to draw this all out and have it ready, I will have a traceable after the show. I'll take a traceable and make a traceable out of this final painting, and then put that up for my patrons on Patreon. So there's a link down in the description if you're interested in that. All right, one other thing is when I'm making these petals, so say I have a petal that is kind of coming out like this, I always need to remember that it's going to curve in and go toward this center. So it's really important to kind of know where your center is, because all these petals are going to overlap and end up joining in the center because they all come down to the stem, right? And they gather up. So it's like, you know, making a ponytail or something. All those hairs coming out, or all those petals and things coming out, are all coming to the same point to go down into the stem, or, you know, draw their energy from the stem, whatever. So, all right, you get the idea. So there we go. It looks really weird, but we'll get it there. And then this one is a little bit lower, and it's taking up most of this space, and it's really pretty much a circle. It's looking straight at us. So all of them are kind of coming out as a star here, out at us. And they're overlapping brick layer style, where it's kind of a petal, two petals, and then one in between, and then two petals and one in between. That kind of thing is getting bigger as they go out. These, and some of them have a couple petals kind of tucked in, and some of the petals aren't laying completely flat, so they're kind of at an angle. And again, I'm going to just try to get the essence of the flower. I'm not going to be able to have time to, like, you know, paint in every single little detail on all of these tonight, because they take forever. There's a ton of petals on these. So we're just going to try to get as close to it as we can without, I really didn't need all of that, but I just kind of did that so that you kind of got the idea of the shape. But, and so I'm drawing past this circle line, and we're actually going to cut in all of this, that, you know, anywhere it's going past that circle or that line, I'm cutting in, and we won't be painting that in, we'll be painting it green. All right. Okay, so that's good enough. And then this little baby one is down in here, and it is just opening up, and it's kind of all in here. Again, kind of the center being right here, and nothing quite open yet. And down like that. All right, and then as far as the greenery goes, I'm gonna do a few leaves, but I'm not gonna do a terribly lot of, well, there's not a lot in this photo really to work with, so I'm gonna maybe do like that, and maybe do a couple down here coming off, and maybe here. And then I think everything else I'm gonna kind of just make blurry. So let's go ahead and start cutting in our shapes here, and it'll make a little bit more sense as we go. I'm already not sure I want this brush. I think I'm going to need a thinner brush to get down in. So I'm going to use the 8 flat instead. It's longer and more tapered. All right. So now we can choose whatever background color we want. If we want to do the greens, there's bricks and things. I'm not going to do any of that detail back here. We don't need any of that. So I'm just going to kind of do a solid-ish color back there. So usually I just pick colors that are in the painting or in the colors that I'm already using here. I think I do want to keep with green, so I might get some of that green, but make it like a brownish, like a sagey green or something, or maybe even a tealish green. So let's get some burnt sienna. It's going to make kind of an ugly green right now, but we're going to add brighter greens on top. This yellow is so bright too. We can go a little bit muddier with this. Let's get some India yellow. So that's kind of almost like a green gold type color here. Green gold would have more of the yellow in it, but that might be nice. It's kind of an olivey toned green. I'm going to need more than that though. I'm going to get a little bit more of that green and maybe go over here and do like a lighter version. I got a little bit more of that in that yellow. There was quite a bit of burnt sienna in this initial. Let's do a green that has some of that blue in it too. So we'll do kind of like 3 different versions of the same, of a green. That looks nice. And so when we do our leaves, we'll do them a little bit darker. So if we go light enough with this background, I might need to go a little bit lighter with this. I don't want to go too light though, because then the dahlias won't show up either. We want them to, show up against this. Right. And I think that's kind of the look I'm going to go for. It's just kind of like that painterly. Maybe get some white. I grabbed some of this yellow. This was the background yellow here. So I'm just going to go back over some of that, and I'm just cutting in. It's called cutting in when you go in to an area. Well, we haven't really painted the flowers yet, so it's not quite. But we're painting what's called the negative space. So we're painting the thing around the objects that we want in focus and want the attention going to. So and the drawing wasn't that detailed, so I'm not really having a great outline there. I may end up having to go and do this again a little bit. Once I get my petals in, I'll kind of have a better idea of exactly where I want this to go, but I just wanted to start with a little bit of green down. How's everybody doing in chat tonight?
I think they're doing all great.
We missed them last week, so we didn't
Yeah.
get to talk about the eclipse. Hope everybody got to see it because it was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Like way better than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, to be truthful, I really was like, yeah, it's all right. I'm glad it's coming to our house because I definitely wouldn't have driven to go see it, just because I've just never seen one and I didn't
Right.
know. But now I know. Now I know.
And now you would.
I would definitely drive to see it. No, most definitely.
Well,
I
good
get
thing.
the hype. It lived up to the sun and the moon lived up to the hype.
Yes. They did not disappoint.
They were all that in a bag of chips.
My analogy is that you can see a picture of the Grand Canyon. You can hear
Right.
people talk about it. You
Yeah.
can watch videos on it.
Right.
But until you're standing at the Grand Canyon,
right.
you don't understand the
It's
immensity of it
true.
and all that
It's
stuff.
very true.
The same thing with Eclipse.
Yep. I was blown away. Literally almost tearing up. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was so incredible. Very cool. We were right in the heart of it. Our little town of Russellville was all over the news.
Yeah, we had NASA here, the Weather Channel.
CNN, all of them were Fox News, all the major news things were here.
We learned that Adam Savage was down in Hot Springs, so that's just a couple hours south of us.
Yeah,
The guy from Mythbusters. So there was a
Yeah,
bunch
one
of
of our-
people came to this area.
one of our son's best childhood friends drove Adam Savage around while he was down there. The ride guy for whatever they were doing. I don't know what they were doing, but obviously filming.
Just shuttling him back and forth.
Yeah,
and,
shuttling. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's the talent driver or whatever.
Yeah,
I think they were
that's what
calling
we called it,
yeah.
yeah.
Pretty cool.
So yeah,
That's neat.
if you haven't seen one and you can see one, go see it.
Go see one. Yeah. Next one's coming straight through here too, but it will be a lot older.
Yeah, in 2045.
Yeah.
There's a couple others that like are across the northern U.S. and things like that, but the next big one will come through here. We had 4 minutes of totality, and the next one will be over 5.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
almost the max. I think the max is 7.5 minutes.
Wow. That's amazing. Very cool. All right, so just doing this, and I actually kind of don't mind what's happening with my red here. My chalk that I used was red, and that was just, by the way, I get questions about that all the time. This is a Hagoromo chalk. It's very dustless chalk. I really prefer it. I mean, it's a little pricey, but it's in my Amazon shop. You can get it there. It comes from, I think, Korea, maybe? Japan? I'm sorry if I don't. Let me look. It's on the package because I don't want to say wrong. Well, Korea. Yeah, so I was right the first time. I second guessed myself. Anyhow, it's a neat story if you want to look it up about that making of that chalk. But if you don't have it or can't get a hold of it, it's school chalk will work too. Just regular old school chalk. But it makes it nice because it just bleeds right into the paint, absorbs into whatever we're doing here, and we don't have to worry about painting around it. We can just paint right over it. I do want it a little bit darker right in here, so I'm going to get some of that ultramarine blue with that phthalo green and do just kind of right in here. I want to draw it in and have a little bit more contrast right in there. It's probably not dark enough, but we'll see. All right, almost done here.
I'm bugging back for a second. I think I'm picking up some fuzziness in the audio.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the leaves right now. I think I'm just going to paint over that part because we'll just put those in later. No reason to paint around them right now. They're green too. Once we get our flowers in, we'll be able to figure out where we want them. Okay, so there we go. Got our background in. I like that green. It's a little bit, it's not quite as yellow as the green in the photo, but we can make our leaves that kind of yellow green, and that'll give it a little contrast. You could always make it blue. You can make it really whatever color you want it. This is your painting, so I'm just showing you a way of doing it, not the way. Art is so open-ended. You do you. I always love it when I get comments that are like, why didn't you paint the background red and use Hooker's green. I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't do that. That day I felt I don't generally use pre-mixed colors, so you know, that is one when I get those kind of specific questions about certain colors. It's like I use mostly colors that are pure pigments. Excuse me, India yellow is an exception. But most everything else that on the palette is, except for that one there, which we already knew. All right, it's not a normal part of the palette. Let me go ahead and grab my angle brush now. And I'm going to take this off and put it on my other hand because it is, none of my rings fit. I have half-size fingers, and so none of, they're always like twisting on me. All right, let me see. So the centers of those flowers, I'm going to look at the darkest part of the center of the flowers and do that part first. And so I'm seeing a lot of that really bright reddish yellow. I'm going to get India yellow, and is it still making noises?
It's
No?
good now.
It's good now? Okay. You were sighing over there, so I wasn't sure what you were sighing about.
No, it's good. Every once in a while, for some reason, it just
Has
gets
to be
a little-
reset.
Yeah, it gets a little noise in between the two, so I just unplug it, replug it in.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it wasn't like obnoxiously bad, but
That's
it
good.
was.
Yeah, well,
It
no,
was
we don't
bothering
want
me.
it. Well, and if it's bothering you, it'll be bothering me and other people in the replay for sure. All right, so I made like a saturated orange. I don't even think that's dark enough. That doesn't look dark enough to me, but I might start there. I'm just going to kind of dab that in, kind of wash it over the center part there, and here and this side it's not as yellow, it's not as orange, it's almost got a little bit of green, so I'm going to get a little bit of that green. I'm mixing it with this orange and it'll make it neutral, so getting that brighter yellow, cadmium yellow light, a little bit of phthalo green, and then mixing it with this orange that we made with the India yellow, cadmium red light, and burnt sienna. When I get going, it's hard to say words. That right brain takes over, and does not want to let the words come. Try it sometime. Try painting and talking. It's not easy. Okay. So that's good, and I'm just going to kind of try to feather out those edges just a little bit. This one is going to be on the Dahlias. I find are probably one of the harder flowers to paint, just because they're a little bit more. There's just so many petals, and there's a lot of layering. Anytime you're adding petals, it ups the difficulty exponentially. So, more petals equals more work equals more difficulty, because they can kind of get muddy really quickly, and you could end up losing your petals altogether. But these ones are kind of nice because they're not a uniform color from side to side. You can see that it gets darker on the outer tips and gets lighter towards the center. So that'll help as we paint. We can just kind of start to vary the intensity of the color as we come closer to the middle. All right, so I'm going to start with magenta, and I'm going to get my palette knife, and I'm going to mix up a good amount of this light pink. And you can already see that's way too intense. I didn't use very much magenta at all. I just grabbed a little dab of it, but it really has a good tinting strength. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use some of this unbleached titanium too, because it's kind of it's got yellow oxide in it, so it's going to neutralize and make that pink a little bit more of a salmon, because there's a little bit of that yellow in the petals in that pink color. It's not fully saturated light bright pink. Down here maybe it is a little bit more, but the rest of it is really soft. I think these ones are called Cafe au Latte. I think that's if I'm not mistaken. the variety of Dahlia that these ones were. They have a beautiful peachy pink color. All right, so that's a good kind of base color, but that's way too saturated. You can see the kind of color that I'm thinking that we need over here. So I'm gonna get about half of that maybe, and find another spot. And anytime you're mixing a color, go ahead and try to scoop it up into the smallest area possible for you to work with, because then you'll have more time to work with it as you flatten it out. Like the screen is going to be dry really fast because it's all thinned out, you know. So I just kind of pulled that paint into a little puddle there after I mixed it. So I'm going to put out a pretty good amount of white there. How's it going?
It's going fantastic.
Good.
But I'm kind of worried
Why?
because your past videos, you've shown people how you're measuring and you're always using your fingers to measure, but you never disclaimed until now that you have half-size fingers. So now everybody's measurements are way off.
There.
So sorry if you assume that you had full-size fingers.
My ring size of fingers are half sizes, not my actual fingers. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's just like every time I get a ring, it's just always just a little bit too big or a little too small. Like I can't get it on. I can either not get it on over my knuckles, or I can get it over too easily. All right, there we go. So I probably made up more than I need, but you never know. There's a lot of petals here. We may go through all of this. We'll see. But I'll probably use it with mix other colors into it. So, but it'll be our kind of base pink. It'll probably need to have white and a kind of I know I want a kind of a more yellowy version. So I'm going to start mix some cadmium yellow. That's way too much. Just a little dab. It's always good to kind of put the color on a separate spot. Like I don't ever mix directly into my pure colors. I just grab from there, from the side, and I don't grab it from the top either or dip into it, because that breaks the seal. There kind of a film forms over it, and it keeps your paints fresher longer if you pull from the side instead of mess with the top. Because anytime you're poking at that paint daub, the little dab of paint, you're introducing air. You're just like pushing air down into it and allowing the air to get to the middle, and it'll dry out way faster. So pulling from the side is a good practice to start. And then so grab a little bit of that paint and then put it over here on a clean spot. And then so I'm kind of offloading it just by kind of pressing down. And so I don't have very much paint there at all. I don't have very much of that yellow there. And I'm going to take it over here to my pink, and you can see how it really influenced that pink a lot. Really fast. It went very orange. So, but that'll be a good color to have too. So we'll have that color, and I'm going to get some more of the white and mix that in. A lot of times it's better to mix your color, mix the color into white than mix white into your color, if that makes sense. So have a little bit take some white over to the side and do it kind of like what we did here, and just mix into it, because otherwise it goes very, very dark very quickly, and you'll use up a lot of white. So start with white, add a little bit of color to it. I didn't do that. And I'll probably end up using more white than I needed to on this because of it. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of use this. This was that peachy version of the color, but I have more of the other colors in here in my brush still too. So I'm going to do like that. And trust me, it's going to look worse before it looks better. So I was watching somebody else paint something the other day, and it was like, I didn't know the artist. And so I was like, oh my goodness, does she know what she's doing? And, and of course she pulled it out in the end. It looked great. But it was like so weird, the first. And I was like, this is much be how people think when they're watching me paint, because I know that I have some major ugly stage moments happening a lot.
Is she sure she knows what she's doing?
Exactly. It's like, okay, well,
She claims to be a professional, but
I don't know. Yeah, so this is where I'm going to kind of define, and I'm going to go fairly thick on these. Yeah, I know, it's funny. I always say that, don't give up in the ugly stage. If it's ugly, it just means it's not done yet, just keep on going. Keep adding layers. Acrylics are notorious for looking really bad in the early stages of a painting, so just going to have to keep on going and try to layer and layer more and keep layering until it'll be like, oh, there it is. And it's usually in the last couple layers, sadly. All right, I'm going to get some of this darker pink over here and do some of it over here. Streak through some of that. Oops, my phone. I forgot to turn my phone off.
Eight-minute grandbaby update.
Okay, nice. We have one son who has 2 kids, and the oldest is like 4, and we never get pictures from them anymore. We used to when it was just Liam, but now when they have 2 of them, it's like nobody's got time for that. And then we have our other son who has just 1 baby, and we get pictures like daily. It's awesome. I love it. I love it, but it's just so funny. It's like
I subscribe to the
first
Daily
time
Baby.
parents. What?
I subscribe to the Daily Baby.
Daily Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Trying to remember my, original shapes too. So here, I'm going to turn my phone off because I know there's going to be more chatters going on. Okay, there we go. All right.
Traumatized by sheep.
She got traumatized by sheep today.
I went to see some animals.
Oh boy. They're cuter on the page. In the book pages. Not so cute in person. All right, so I'm good. Then down here, there's some that kind of are pretty rogue. They go pretty far down here, so I'm gonna try to I'm not worried about the lighter colored petals right now. I'm just trying to get the darker ones in that are kind of the outer border. I didn't do this with this one, so we'll see which one works out better. I just did kind of the middle part with that one, just tinted it. This one I'm kind of going a little bit more structured. So I'm going to get some more of that darker pink here. Some of these petals are pretty big, and this one does overlap that one a little bit. Okay, and even though the center of this one is right here, these petals are coming straight at us in this area, so they're kind of doing this, so these ones are gonna only have just a little bit of the dark part peeking through in places. So I'm gonna start to kind of build those out just a little bit. not too concerned about them. I'll probably end up having to paint the center part again. So I'm just going to kind of lightly try to draw those in a little bit. And okay, so I've got this one that's coming up here. Whoops. One right next to it. I'm going pretty thick with my paint if you're following that at all. And this one is curving down. Okay. I like it. Really comes in a little bit more right there. There's kind of a gap in the petals. I'm seeing. Let's see if I can get in this green. Kind of comes in right there. Maybe get a little bit of burnt umber. And then get some of this brighter green, because remember we said we were going to make the leaves a little bit brighter. So a little bit of ultramarine blue with the phthalo green and that cadmium yellow light, and then the burnt umber. I'm going to bring that. The stem comes out this way and has a leaf coming down. Kind of like that. All right. Just grabbing some of this yellow that was from the center of the flowers. Kind of using it. Also, figure it'll be easier to put the stem in now before I get my petals finished. I'll get it kind of started in there. Okay. I don't know if I love having these. Well, I feel like it's got to have leaves. So I really don't like painting leaves.
Does it make them real blurry?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Bokeh-y.
Mm-hmm. Kind of lifted the paint right there. That's weird. Okay, that's better. This one, the stem's coming up right here. I don't know. Getting some of that background color again. Just kind of any of these places where I have like real obvious gaps and things. I'm gonna kind of dab on some color, and it'll also kind of help blend in some of this darker green in some places and make these leaves not look so in your face, you know. Just letting the brush kind of create leafy shapes. This angle brush does a good job of that. I've got some areas where I must have dropped water or something on it because it's lifting off in certain areas here. Like it's not adhering to the canvas when I'm going over it, it's just lifting. Usually happens when I have dropped water on it, which I might have done and didn't know. You see, like there and there, it's got a couple areas doing that. Okay, we'll just leave it alone. All right, so this one's mostly done. We're doing on time. Yeah, we can speed it up here.
Let me see. Yes, you're doing good. Right on schedule.
Got an hour to finish. Okay. Check.
We will sign no painting before it's time.
Alright, let's keep on going here. So this one's got a big petal right here. And see, if you've got an area right here, like it's going over the green, it's not one to cover, you're probably going to need to grab some of that pink that's got more of the white mixed in. And that way it'll cover the lighter pink. And then we can always go back in with some of the darker pink over the top, but you want it, you don't want that kind of outline look where you can see the green through. It might not be going big enough, but we'll see. Let's keep on going here. Another petal here. And just probably asking about dinner.
No. I told him this morning dinner was a free-for-all.
Okay.
He said he was going to school and was going to stay until he got his project done.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you get
Nice.
to know.
That's good news. Got a senior project using college. Our youngest. Only one still at home. I don't know what we would do without him.
I'm right here.
I'm just saying. Well, okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Only one of
Wow.
our children that are still at home.
I told her.
You don't qualify. Not often, at least.
Like we said, I have 3 kids, you have 4.
All right. Putting some of this darker pink in here, just streaking it. You can see in the picture they're kind of streaked through, so I'm kind of just adding some of that. Didn't do much of it over there. It's not as noticeable on this one, except for maybe on a few of these bottom ones here and up here, which I kind of did up here. So keep on going here. So I signed with a new licensed some mushroom designs today, so they'll be on some little labels with currants. So if you order your mailing labels from Currants, I'll show them when they're for sale. That's exciting news today.
That's pretty cool.
I know. I think I'll feel like I've arrived if I do like a major puzzle company puzzle, or like Hobby Lobby. I feel like if I walked into Hobby Lobby and stumped something, I think I would lose it. see. We're working toward that. I signed with a licensing company couple of years ago. We've done a few things. They did a diamond art kit last fall. So anyhow, I'm just talking since I'm repeating my
Same
steps here. Just
same brushstrokes.
same brushstrokes. Just chatting it up. That happened today, so that was pretty cool. So I kind of took I've been trying to learn better digital editing and things, and so I was able to take some of my mushroom paintings and chop out the mushrooms out of them, single them out, and single out some of the insects and things, and made a new design out of them. So that's what got licensed today. Mushrooms are everywhere right now. I really want to paint some more. I was playing with watercolors and did some watercolor paintings. I put them away. But I'm hoping to start teaching watercolor maybe later on the end of the year or something. I'm not proficient enough with it to feel like I can tell anybody how to do it yet, because I'm still figuring it out myself. But if I can get there, I'll maybe take you guys along the journey with me of figuring it out together at some point. We'll see. Although there's a lot of really good watercolor artists out there that'll probably be cringing when they see my stuff. Like, no, don't do that. Definitely don't have the patience for, you can see here, I don't like to have to paint or draw out every little petal. Unless I'm doing like a large flower series where it's like just the flower. And then I do it that way. But on something like this, I just like to be a little bit more loose with it and a little bit more free form, and just kind of let the petals happen where they happen and get it as close to the reference as I can, but not actually like draw it out really carefully. All right, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I feel like I can't really go much bigger without going off the canvas, so that's about as close as I can get on that one. Let's go ahead and do this little guy here, and then we'll start adding our detail layers on here. We're still in the ugly stage on this one. I'm going to go ahead and kind of just put in some darker petals in here just to make me feel better. And I think I'm going to do that same. Well, yeah. Let me get some of that. Let me get some of that cadmium red and add it to this color so I have more of a reddish color for the centers of some of these. It's just kind of a glow that is coming out on some of these petals, and probably what I'll end up having to do is like paint in the centers a little bit more carefully, because those will be the focal point of our flowers, so they're not there yet. All right, getting a little bit more magenta. I'm gonna go a little bit darker with these ones, because this one's a little bit more concentrated. All the petals are emerging from the center area here. Get this and just gonna do some of the petals, just using this brush to create that shape for me, just by pressing it down, point out, and pulling it back in towards the center, and always kind of tilting it and turning it so that I'm always turning the butt end of it towards the center of the flower. That way I can just get petals in here pretty easily. Fly in the studio. Whoop. This one's kind of coming. These ones are kind of coming out at us. We're not seeing the full shape of them. Okay. I think I can go a little bit bigger. I'm going to bring these out a little bit more. Give myself a little bit more room to work with. Okay, and just then kind of check that shape and see. I can't see the reference there, hon. Against the reference, see if the shape is kind of what you're seeing in the photo. Could probably come down a little bit more with this one here. That long one at the bottom there. Didn't really leave myself much room for it. Glad I mixed up enough of this pink that I feel like I'm not going to run out, because I'm really loading it on pretty thick here. Okay, we'll just let that set. I have a, no. Okay. Getting it there. So we'll get this. This is going to be more realistic than it looks like right now. I promise. We're building towards the
big reveal.
To what we want it to look like. All right. So I think I'm going to go a little bit smaller with my next brush, because as the petals come in toward the center, they're getting a little bit closer together, a little bit smaller. They're not fully unfurled. And I'm going to leave myself a little bit room here to mix. My palette is covered, so I'm just going to scrape off everything that's dry. I think all of this is pretty much dry now. Because if I use it or try to mix over it or do anything on it, it's just going to get little crumbly bits in my paint. Don't want that.
Nobody want crumbly bits.
Nope. All right, there we go. That green is still fairly fresh there, so we'll leave it. Fitzy's already sighing. He's like, got a very dramatic teenage dog right now. He's got attitude for days.
Yeah, it's not as fun as chasing lizards and other critters through the yard all day long.
Seriously. She's still painting.
It's so boring.
I hate my life. All right, I'm going to see which one I like better. I'm just going to test this with this long flat here and the angle and see which one I like best for making these petal shapes. So this is the 2 flat. I think I might use that. I'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Because I think I can kind of control it a little bit more than I can this one. This is the angle. I don't know. They're both pretty similar, so it's probably personal preference. I'm going to start with the flat. Oh, it felt a little bit better to me. And I think I'm going to get a little bit more of the yellow. So I'm going to get some of the India yellow, add it to my pink here. This is that base pink. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. Because they start to get this color as they come towards the center. There's not a ton of contrast. If you look at the shape, like, or the flower, if you look at it in black and white, this whole area, if you kind of squint, looks pretty much the same value. So we're just having to create these petals with a little bit of contrast in color, because the value is just about the same. And I can bump up the value change just a little bit. So I'm going a little bit more yellow and maybe a little bit more white here. And maybe get some of this darker pink here and do one that's got some darker pink streaks coming down. All right. Gosh, this flies in my studio. Oh yeah, I was going to use this color too. I'll grab that here in a minute. All right, so now I am thinking about kind of the finished look of these back petals. I wanted to get them kind of where they should be, so because I'm not going to be able to mess with them much once I get the upper petals on. So we'll put any highlights or, you know, finishing little dabs of paint. Some of these have like white little streaks on them. Okay, but we're getting there. I'm starting to see separation there a little bit. And sometimes all you need to do is just kind of get a little white and sort of do like that, you know, just do a little outlining on these petals. And it really helps make them look curved. The light's hitting the tips and cupped. I'm going to add a little bit more of this pink in here than is in my picture, just to help define them a little bit. Okay. When you're using a brush that has long, thin bristles, it's helpful to add a little bit extra water. It's a little bit more fluid paint. So you can kind of cheat it by using, I'll put out some of my fluid white to dip into, because it's more concentrated, so it covers better than watered down heavy body acrylic. But it's already thin. All right. No, I want that. I don't want that pink. I want this color. I don't know why I keep dipping into that. Let me do this. I think I want a yellow. I think I want a light yellow. I'm going to get some of that yellow and some white. Phew, that's very yellow. Let's get some of that Indian yellow. India yellow. The India yellow is a little bit closer to orange, just slightly more orangey based. Okay, so now I've got a light yellow, and then I can mix into that with this color and create the, you know, I've got all this pink. I've got loads of that pink there. That'll give me, oh yeah, that'll be good. Another option to use here. And then I can just use the plain white in places too, where I'm seeing just a little bit of white on the tips of the petals. It'll kind of go on looking white, but then it kind of absorbs into the paint after a while. After it kind of dries, I find that it takes 2 or 3 coats of white to get it to really stay bright. So it won't look as bright as it does right now once it dries. Okay, that's good. Get some more yellow here. So just kind of finding my next layer that's not quite to the edge there. And some of them are overlapping here. Maybe this one is overlapping that one. Awfully quiet tonight. What you doing over there?
I am reading through chat,
Yeah.
and I was checking on the weather, making sure everything was going south of us there.
Good.
There's some parts in this day that are getting some good sized hail, looks like.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want any of that.
We don't want none of that.
No, definitely not. All right, I'm going to get some Ultramarine Blue. Ultramarine, and add too much of that yellow in it. Look at that fly. It's taunting me. I want to mix it with my pink, so I'm going to get a little bit of the magenta and just make kind of a very light lavenderish color, but that yellow kind of toned it down nicely. It's not too purple. I don't want it to be very, very purple. I want to use that on these ones that are not in the direct sunlight. So these kind of shadowy petals here, shadow side of the plant. Okay, that's nice. If it's like blue in your face blue, you've gone too far. Just tone it back a little bit. You don't want it to be like, really noticeable. Just want it to be kind of a subtle hint of blue. Okay, looks good. Clean that out. Getting my white, getting my light pink again. Maybe a little bit of this orangey one. We got some serious sighing going on today. He's like, can you hear it on camera? Is it coming through, or is it just me that's hearing it?
I'm listening on the headphones.
All right, just gonna have some overlapping petals here that are kind of doing like this, crisscrossing. And then we need to get that darker color in there, though. When you add this, let me get some burnt sienna, the mauve, the magenta, and the cadmium red here. Just making a dark reddish color. It's a little bit more neutral than what we've been doing. I'm going to get some white, and then like right here, you want it to be light on the tips, but in the where it's going back in, you need it darker because our next petals have to overlap that area. So if we have it all light, there's nothing for them to play against. So gotta make sure we keep adding back in some dark colors in the center as we make our petals. And I'm gonna get some of the Indian yellow here and do it with that. What?
So yes, you for sure could hear that sigh.
I know.
That was deep.
Oh yeah. It's just so dramatic. Jeez.
Okay, there is a couple questions.
Okay.
First
This is
one.
Indian yellow. Okay.
This says that there's a Ask Me Anything on Patreon.
Yes.
Is that for any question or only the techie stuff?
No, and if you have technical issues, I've mentioned, multiple times that really you need to contact me directly if you're having a problem with your account or you can't log in or
No,
something
but I
like
think
that.
they want to. No, they said, is it for any question or only tech stuff?
Yeah, any question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second question is it okay to cut down a long handled brush to get a shorter one?
Getting magenta and burnt sienna here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Shouldn't hurt anything.
Well, first of all,
I mean, as long as you're not getting it in, this is the structural part of the brush. The rest of this is just for balance and whatever. So, it may affect the balance of it a little bit and where you're gripping, But yeah, you could cut this one down to about, here or here, and it wouldn't do anything to it. It'd be fine.
then also you need to make sure that you paid for it first.
Always helpful.
Don't be there in the store cracking
Always
handles
helpful.
in the aisle, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't like that.
No. Thank you, Anna. Your
Just got to make sure, we don't want to get anybody in trouble.
wisdom.
Not that I've done that.
Okay. Yeah, they can ask. Well, I may not answer, but I hope you can definitely ask. It's not
It's not a Q&A section. It's just a question section.
Q section.
Disclaimer.
Just disclaimer. You can ask.
That's whatever
Doesn't
you
mean.
want. Fine.
All right, so I'm going to keep on going here. I'm going to do this one, and then we'll switch to the smaller, but we're getting there. It's getting a little closer, getting the feel for what we're after here. And again, if you're painting this along with me and you're like, I have no idea what colors to use, just look at yours, because mine is, developing in its own way here. If I painted this again, I may not do it exactly the same. It would probably be, a different layering of colors, just depending on how the colors went down, which colors, seem brighter and, more noticeable, and which ones needed a little boost. So you just kind of have to pay attention to your painting and how it's developing, and add the colors as you add the values and things, the layers, as you... That fly just tried to go up my nose. Oh, shoot, I just got my sleeve all in this and got it all over my green. Great. Got pink all. I need to blow my nose now. Oh, my gosh.
So now you send them over here. Why do you send them over here?
Well, he just picked my nose. That was terrible.
Get some dinner?
No. Gross. Now my nose is all itchy.
He just went through the drive-thru.
Oh, God. That's terrible. It's almost as bad as in the mouth. All right, so yeah, sorry, you guys just getting the full.
And this is why we live stream. You won't get this on any other artist polished, pre-recorded videos.
Very true, very true. They probably don't want it, but
This is
that's okay.
life.
Yeah. Good, bad, and the ugly. Here we go. All right. Yeah, so you can see how nicely that looks now that we've, we had all these darker colors under here, so these lighter colors are just really popping as I'm defining them. I'm just gonna highlight the tips here and kind of, if it looks too, wild, you can kind of just go, like if it looks too outlined, let me do one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave that one fairly dark because I want it to look like it's farther away, and I might add some more of the lighter color to it. Let's see, like here, we'll add some highlight to this petal. So if it looks too outlined, just go right along that edge and just kind of very lightly just pull it down, and it'll feather that out just a little bit so it's not so but go in the direction of the petal. So any streaks that form are just kind of going in the direction you want them to go. So I always, when I'm putting my brush strokes on and doing these petals, I'm always kind of pulling down towards where I want those lines of the flower to form, pointing down in towards the center of the flower, and in the opposite direction too, out from the center and toward the tip. And I was trying to kind of lead it to the point of the petal. I mean, occasionally there'll be flower petals that have veins going in different directions, but not that often. These ones are all kind of following the vein of the petal. The petals are these long, thin, and they kind of, depending on if they're fully open or not, the center is usually darker. So, and again, the lines are coming out from, this is the center of the flower here. And so as I paint it, I'm always going to paint it pointing to this and this. All my brush strokes are going to go along and always begin and end pointing towards that. Because if I start to do like this, it breaks that line of that petal. So just always kind of keep in mind where that line of the petal is. And so any kind of streaks and things just look like you meant to do it. It makes it look like it's part of it, part of the veining of the petal. And depending on where we put our highlights and things, we can, make it look like it's the light's coming from one side or it's twisted. Nope. Curved in. So if this side is lighter and this side is darker, then it looks like this side is going away from us and this side's coming towards us. And, we always, pretty much always, you're going to want this part to be darker. I mean, very rarely, unless the light is getting down in there and lighting it up differently, this center part is usually going to be darker. So, all right, so that's what we're doing on each individual petal here. Maybe not individually, but just in general, we're kind of trying to mimic that look. I'm going a little bit darker with that. Okay, and then I'm going to get the lighter color. Go over. Probably shouldn't have messed with that because it looked okay, but. Here we go. Okay, so for the most part, just leave those back ones alone because you can see how hard it is to kind of fix it once you kind of mess with them. Then you have to do all the ones in front too. So trying to get all the back ones kind of looking sort of generally where you want them to be, and then do the petals on top. And I just went back in and added Indian Yellow and more of the Magenta and Burnt Sienna again to the centers, and just keep reinforcing it as we go. I need that like catchy thing in here.
When you turn all the lights off, so you're attracted to it.
Oh, that's true. That wouldn't work, would it?
So this will make it good for some type of a
Blooper.
game event. Like if we do anything, like trivia questions. What video was it that Angela battled a fly?
There's been more than one, that's for sure. I know there's been other ones, but it's been a while. Don't have to worry about it so much in the winter time. This brush is... I'm just trying to kind of cover that pink that I did. Just mixing in that ultramarine blue with it to blend it in. Yeah, I just got like, I don't know if this maybe should have. I usually don't gesso these canvases ahead of time, but it looks like this one had some sizing problems where it wasn't fully covered in some spots, which occasionally happens. It's not even the best canvases will have that happen sometimes, or the sizing just doesn't, or the gesso doesn't quite reach everywhere, you know. All right, just touching up some of these green areas here. Sorry.
Kind of like
I don't want it
when
to
he
go up my
snaps at
nose
him.
again. I'm worried. No, it's like it.
It smells like a fruit fly. It's not like a regular fly.
No, it's like a little one, but that's what I'm worried about because it's just going to crawl up in there. Oh. All right. Keep going here. Sorry. All right. What are we doing? Oh, we're needing to get going.
Somebody's got a question.
Okay.
They said that they recently did a painting on a wood slice, and
Okay.
what would you recommend to varnish it with?
I usually used acrylic clear coat. It was a spray varnish or a spray from Krylon, I think. It just it's like an isolation coat. So if you have isolation coat, you could use that. You know, depending on what you use to paint it. If you use just acrylics, that you know, just your regular varnish is fine. If you want it like a furniture grade, you can use polyacrylic, which is like gonna, do a really hard coat, but I wouldn't do that if it was, well, it's obviously not on canvas, but you can't use it on canvas, is what I'm saying. But if you're doing it for like furniture or something that's gonna get a lot of wear, I would use a polyacrylic or something that's really heavy duty so that it'll be protected. All right. Why did I do 3 of these? One would have been just fine.
Because, yeah, you have to have one odd number.
Well, yeah. We could have done it as a large flower series. I think we did a Dahlia before for a large flower series. I want to say we've already done one. For some reason, my brush has got this one stray hair sticking out all of a sudden. I don't know what I did to it. Okay. This one's over here a little bit more yellow. I'm so sorry. Mark thinks this is hilarious. It's driving me crazy. He's just like keeps taunting me. Okay. I'll leave it.
It just reminds me of Fitzy when the flies go by.
Oh yeah, he just like snaps at him. Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Sorry, yeah, I'm probably annoying people.
Comes like,
I'll stop. I'll stop doing it.
I'll keep an eye out for him. I'll protect you.
Thank you. All right, so that one is almost done. Now there's a couple really like weird ones right here. So there's one here, and it curves like this, and then curves back this way, and then just has a few little lines through coming down. And then there's another one here that's kind of just a little one, little baby one. And then this one is the one that's kind of in the middle. So it starts right here and it curves up and over, overlaps this one a little bit, and it curves back down and it kind of forms the center of that flower. And like that. I don't know if I did that quite the way I wanted it to be, but close. I'm going to get some more of that that yellow and kind of come up from the middle with the yellowy color. Might have made it a little too wide. Okay, I'm going to get some of that dark burgundy and yellow. And I think I'm going to stop there. I think that's good enough. All right, let's do... I might put another highlight on it right once it's dry, but there's too much paint on there right now. I need to just let it dry. Okay, let's get these other ones done. Getting the darker magenta here. Putting kind of stripes in my petals a little bit, and then I'm going to get that pink and just outline the edges of the petals with the pink. It's adding a little bit of water so it goes on smoothly. There we go, and doing the overlap where it needs to happen. Okay. Get some white here. Okay, and then these ones are curving down. And the center is kind of a green. Pushing back with the green there. Might put a little bit of that green in here too. Indian yellow with the green. Well, I need to let that dry. We can glaze it on later if we have time. Okay. Get the white here. Okay, and then these little ones that are just kind of curled in on themselves. That are, you've got a petal like this, flat, but when it's looking at you, you're just seeing this kind of cup shape. That's what these ones are that are. Odd shape. All right. Yeah, this one's folded in half here. We're seeing the fold.
He's right there on your camera. Oh, you see?
Well, I didn't want to. I might have wet paint here.
You live in a brick.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, I got him. No. Oh my gosh, he just flew away. Cannot believe it. I smushed him. He's a Terminator. I'll be back. Okay, there's a petal in here that I missed.
So you will be getting a job as an exterminator.
No, that's okay. to this one, sorry. Got distracted. I psyched myself out. I was so excited I got him, and I forgot to finish it. I was celebrating. Alright, I'm going to get some of the dark on one side and some of the light on the other. Yeah, don't like how that was looking, so rethinking that choice there. Just get some of that light pink and just kind of go over that area there. Try to form up the center of these. Okay, I think that's close enough. Get a little bit more magenta here and just dab it on really dark where I want. It's so thick right there, it's not accepting any more paint, so we're just gonna have to wait. That one's pretty much done, I think. There's a lot of yellows and things that I'm missing in these, and that's one thing that, you know, doing it this style, we kind of lose, is the depth of the color variation, but it's kind of hard to get it when we're doing it this style where we're kind of going thicker on the paint and layering the petals the way we are. But alright, we'll just leave that for now because I think I lost all my dark bits. And we'll do this last one over here. Yeah, I think some streaks. And then getting that soft yellow color. Adding my pink. It's just a little bit softer than, or a little bit more yellow than this version over here. And then getting some of that fluid white so it's easy to put it on. Just basically carving in petals and putting them in over the top of these layers, leaving that dark behind it. And if you're not seeing them, you can kind of go back in with the dark around it a little bit. Make sure your back layers maybe a little bit darker than what you're seeing in the picture to just make it easier to do this. always pointing it towards the center. Get some of that peachy color and making sure that the area back here where they're going down in is darker. Some of that white with that. This was the magenta and the cadmium red light with white, so just adding some of the white, more white to it to make a orange. It's just a little too dark. Just has to be the right color to be able to be seen against this background. We're almost there. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good. Okay. Get the yellow, more yellow here toward the center. These are all much more yellow. And getting smaller as we approach the center. Okay. And then we just have to kind of clean up that center because it's all kind of the same color right now. So I'm going to get some yellow and some of the white. I'm going to paint in. This center, and I just need a transition between that center color and that yellow because right now it's just solid. I'm getting that burnt sienna, which is kind of a lot of what I'm seeing in some of this. And I think glazing is going to be our friend here when we're adding this darker color, because we've got so much going on, so many petals and things, that we can just add this darker color by using that glaze. And it'll go on soft, and we can outline the petals where we want them outlined and just kind of tuck in that color where we need it. So I'm going to get that yellow, some glaze. That's the India yellow here. I'm going to use it. And then I can clean up my highlights after I do this. But this will give us that color that we want without having to repaint these petals. It just kind of tints the petals where we want the tint to go. Okay, much easier than having to paint it in. Okay, then we're going to get that white. Reshape these petals. This is pure white here. Okay, see? That glazing makes a huge difference. And I think that one's pretty much done. And we can glaze on any of these, though, that we want to. So if we want more like this blue color, we could get a little bit of the mauve and I keep calling it mauve, I don't know why, magenta and the ultramarine blue. Make a blue color. And you can use it to tint the back petals or add shadowing, you know, in the areas. And this is where you're going to be painting around the petals, though, you know. But we've already got all of this nice texture and streaks and the color, you know, everything pretty much how we want it. So this is a way to do it without having to paint over the petals like I'm doing here. The green was showing through right there.
Got a question.
So, what? Okay.
So somebody would like to know that if this was to be painted on a large canvas, like 36 by 36,
Right.
what size brush would they be using?
36 by 36. I would find a brush that is the size of your petal, you know, that you're doing. So, you know, usually when I'm picking my brushes, I'm thinking about what's the widest that petal is going, and that would be the size of the brush that I would use. But probably would most likely use like this one, the 8 on a large one, because even if it's not going to be the same width of the canvas, you don't want anything much wider than this, because it becomes hard to control. So I generally, I used the size 8, this kind of about 1 inch flat brush in murals a lot. And I would do whole murals with them, you know. So you think about the size of a wall. I would do, you know, my base coating in with, I actually used bristle brushes and you know, like these kind of bristle brushes and large sponge brushes a lot, and yeah, paint brushes, yeah, like this one, you know. This size, like a 2 inch, 2 inch or 3 inch for blocking in shapes and colors, and then I would go back in with the 8 and do most everything with that. You can do dots, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. All right, so I just need to I'm making sure that that's dry before I glaze it, but I'm going to go ahead and get some of this darker magenta, burnt sienna color and my glaze. You can use water too if you don't glaze, that's fine, it'll still work. Put that in where I want it nice and dark. If it's not dark enough, you can go in with solid color, but you can build these layers up of glaze. I might just dab in a little bit of the darkest with burnt sienna. Okay. And then I want some of that yellow, so I'm going to glaze with the India yellow like I did before. Just coming out from the center. Okay. And then I'm going to switch to a smaller brush here. This is the one round, just because this one, I really want to put it in carefully. So there's one that's coming up like this. And there's one that is starting at the center and coming up and out and coming almost straight towards us. Okay. Might zoom in, hon, because I don't think they can see what I can barely see what I'm doing on the camera. Here we go. Thank you. I'm going to get the heavy body acrylic because it'll stick and it'll go on a little bit thicker right here where it's not sticking. There we go. We just had glaze under there, so I didn't want to stick down. And then there's another one that's real thin right there. And then this one. They're all coming from this same spot. They're all going down into there. I forgot to use my color over here. Let's get some of that and just put it on a couple places. Why not? So it's pretty close to what we mixed. Maybe with a little bit of blue. It's probably close to this with the ultramarine blue and the magenta. I think that would have gotten you close. Maybe a tiny bit of the burnt sienna. Bring this one out just a little bit. Ooh. A little too soupy. If you want to cover, you need to go on fairly thick at this point. Okay. There's one in here. And then this one here. I was just kind of trying to let that center dry a little bit before I try to add more petals to it. And there, I think we're good. And let me see if I can get this one. These petals that were this pink. We have plenty pink. I could do a whole canvas with this pink. I did not run out of the pink. Okay. That's better. And then we could probably glaze a little bit of that India yellow on here too, if I can get it in here without it getting too soupy. You really need to wait till the paint's dry before you glaze. So, all right, let's do a little bit on the leaves and we'll be calling it good. Just in time. Wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull through there, but I think we did it. Let me get, I want to, yeah. Nah, I guess I'll use this one. Don't already have another brush. All right, we'll just use this one. And get some yellow and some phthalo green. And if we use just those, look at how it's like a circus color. So you have to add something to neutralize it. So I like to use brown. You could use red too, or you could use gray or black. There's lots of different ways to neutralize a green. Just complementary color with blue is good. I'm going to add some of this pink since we have so much of the pink. I'm going to tint the leaves with the pink and add more yellow because the leaves in the sunlight turn yellow. The photosynthesis shines through, makes them yellow when the sun's hitting them. And then leaves in shade will be more blue tinted. So, just going to add a few little details to this leaf here. Seeing a little serrated edge and a little bit of highlight along the edge there. There's a tiny little line through. You can zoom back out now, hon. This one's off camera, so I'm not really sure what it's looking like, but I'm guessing it's gonna, not off camera, off picture. It's not, I'm making it up. Off picture, sorry. In white and my yellow. I'm just gonna just a little bit of detail there. Let me get some of that darker color and come back in and just kind of go along with the vein area, sort of like we did with the petals. Kind of like brush in the same direction as those little vein sections of the leaf, and it kind of creates the look. Without having to do all the little details everywhere. And we're seeing the back of the leaf anyways, so it's not as detailed. Let's do this one. Got a little bit of the darker, and I'm just kind of pulling that light green down a little bit underneath, and I'm going to just put a couple leaves in here that are kind of hiding things. And I'm not going real detailed on these because I don't have good pictures, so I'm not really sure what these look like exactly. Don't love that one. Get some of that lighter color. Add a little highlight along that stem, along the top of the leaf. Give it a little center line. Give it some highlights along the top edge. That one looked like it's not really connected to this one, does it? I'm going to just give it a center, a stem, because otherwise it's going to look like it's just tangling out in midair. Connect it to this one. Okay. I think I'm going to call that good. That's about all I can do in 2 hours, so we'll just have to call that done.
Well, that's not too shabby.
For now. It turned out pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, came out really good.
Thank you. I like how the flowers turned out, so they were the star of the show. You could go back in and add more highlights and more glazing, you know, if you wanted to. But yeah, I think that we got them pretty close to where we wanted to be. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want the traceable for this, I'll have it ready on my Patreon. The link's down in the description, or you can go to my website, thankfulart.com. You can see all of the other paintings that we've done in the past. Would you put up the links there, honey? While I'm signing.
I was waiting to ring the bell.
Oh.
We had a super chat tonight
Yay.
from Celtic Peasant.
Oh.
There was no special message, but thank you very much.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I recognize that name. Been around before. Very cool. Thank you very much. Yeah. We missed you guys last week. It's funny how you get into the routine and you know,
Yep.
we really do love getting to do this with you guys every week. So
It's
thank
almost,
you for.
almost kind of like a funk.
Huh?
Like you almost get in like this depressed funk. Like
Almost, yeah,
you
it
haven't-
is.
Haven't hung out with your friends in a while.
It just felt weird watching Oak Island. When he started up Oak Island, I was like, oh. We missed our... What's missed our folks? Yeah, we missed our show. One other thing you could do is like... I might splatter a little bit, I think. I feel like it
Might. She
could
says
use...
knowingly. Say
Yeah,
no
wink,
more.
wink, no, nudge, nudge.
Are you a splatterer?
Are you a goer?
I paint sometimes. Say no more.
Wink as good as a nod to a blind bat. Sorry, we're quoting Monty Python now. You can tell we're tired. All right. It's probably so politically incorrect nowadays too. Sorry. We grew up on it. It's not our fault. We grew up in the 70s, 80s. Before we knew better. All right, there we go. Yeah, I like the splattering. Just kind of adds a little, I don't know. Something. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to our patrons and all. And we'll be back next week for another lesson. I think we're going to paint a large flower. I think we're doing the daffodil. Another flower. I was like, all I wanted to paint was flowers this month, so.
That's so weird.
Sorry, I know.
It's okay.
I found a daffodil that had an orangey peach center, so I was like, okay, I need to paint that. Yeah. It wasn't just yellow; it was like white with peach, so it's pretty cool. So we're doing it.
That sounds good.
All right, thanks guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.